So today it's a pleasure to have Ken Olson, the CEO of Old West Federal Credit Union, which has a branch here in Grande and the headquarters in Grande.
Grande,
yeah.
Yep.
Ken, what a pleasure to have you here with us today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for making the trip up.
You bet.
So we've been trying to connect for a while. And
a little while, yeah.
The production side of our company, Brent Clapp Media Services, we did a commercial for you guys a couple of years ago, and I know we corresponded via email because you wrote the script and I edited it, and we pushed through the production like that. So
I remember that.
Yeah, so good to finally connect.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Ken, tell me your life story. Tell me, tell me,
how much time do you have and how much storage on your hard drive?
Yeah. So, or in brief, kind of tell me about yourself a little bit.
Well, born and raised in Idaho, in Salmon, Idaho. Went to Boise State University and graduated from there. Right out of there, got into the financial world. Just traveled around a little bit in Idaho and Wyoming with Norwest. It's a company no longer in existence. I think Wells Fargo took them over. Wound up back in Idaho, and back then, home mortgages were a big thing, and went down to Elko, Nevada, and was doing mortgages down there during the gold boom, and that's where I met my wife of 24 years now, and she told me I had to get a real job. So went from doing home mortgages to managing a couple branches for Bank of America, and we'd come through this area several times a year to visit her folks up in Washington, and just fell in love with Eastern Oregon and the scenery and the people, and figured it'd be an awesome place to raise a family, and one of the few right decisions I ever did was to move here. And so, we raised our kids here in Grande and have lived in Grande. I've been with Old West since 1999 and been the CEO since 2007.
Cool. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Old West. It's in Grande, which is the headquarters are there. Correct. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about how it got started.
The original credit union was started in 1957 in Bates, Oregon, as the Bates Employees Federal Credit Union. Now, Bates doesn't exist anymore. It was a company town, but it was right there at the corner of Highway 7 and 26, and the credit union was started there. From there, it just grew, moved to Grande. We expanded the charter to from an employee credit union to a geographic charter, and expanded again finally to 8 counties here in Eastern Oregon, and just have been meeting people's needs ever since. So we've got branches throughout the area, and just loving life.
So did you ever think that you would be the CEO of a financial institution like that?
Well, it's interesting that you should ask that, because when I got into banking, my memories included, going to the hometown banker in Salmon, Idaho, and he was a part of the community, and his kids were in 4-H. He was a 4-H leader, or a baseball coach or whatever, and that's something that I wanted to do, but that seemed to be kind of going away. You didn't see the hometown banker anymore, and so I wanted to find a place where I could do that and make a difference in a local small community. And it's kind of ironic that I became a hometown banker with a credit union. So,
So, do you have a passion in the area of banking? Do you have that? Is there something that I like doing that?
I love going out and talking to people about their various businesses, the ag operations and stuff. There's nothing more rewarding or fun than going and talking to people that love what they do and finding out, what they do and how they do it. And it's a lot of fun. So we actually, quite by accident, as a credit union several years ago, started ag lending. We didn't start out and say, hey, this is going to be a profitable thing, or this is something we want to do. people just started coming through the door needing that service. And, you know, lo and behold, it grew and grew and grew. And right now, Old West is the largest USDA ag lender in the state. So,
wow.
Yeah, so love it.
Well, cool. And what do you find satisfying about that area?
Without trying to sound like a cliche, just, you know, watching people achieve their dreams, particularly folks that, you know, they have an idea, and that idea turns into a hobby, and that hobby turns into a vocation and a way to give back to the community and make a living. And if we can be a part of that, that's awesome. So I think the idea of civic responsibility, you know, with a large corporation or, you know, even a financial institution, that idea has kind of been lost over the years. Mm-hmm. And, we want to see that come back.
Do you think, do you find that there are some advantages to being small, mm-hmm. and being able to make some shots and call some shots, sure. that, you know, a bigger financial institution would never be able to do?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so there's this give and take. You know, if you put the scales together, that the larger an institution gets, and it doesn't matter whether it's government, a financial institution, or a grocery store.
Right.
The larger an institution gets, the less accountable to the local folks, mm-hmm. it is. You know, and I guess that's one of the great advantages with credit unions and with Old West, is when we say we're a locally owned institution, we are a locally owned institution. If you join Old West, you're an owner. And we're accountable to those people walking through the door. And that's what makes the difference.
And I really appreciate that, you know. And we do a lot of work with Ronde Hospital here, mm-hmm. and they're locally controlled, you know. Yeah. And that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
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 Because you have the ability to shift according to local trends, mm-hmm. not being called, you know, somebody else outside the area calling the shots.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything else. It's almost like being in a family. You know, you share in the good times, and then you also share in the difficulties and the obstacles that people face. You know, we're not a fair weather lender. We're not a fair weather friend. We're going to be here through good times and bad. And we proved that through the last 12 years. You know, what everybody went through with the financial crisis. So
you have some hobbies also, though. So it's not just banking.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the things that you like to do outside of playing with money.
Yeah, I try to stay busy. I love hunting and shooting. I'm a pretty big firearms enthusiast. You know, I like fishing. I like fly fishing. You know, several years ago, I've lived in Grande in Grant County for 20 years. It's going to be 20 years this April. And several years ago, I was trying to figure out a way to give back to the community, and I just decided to volunteer, and so I volunteered. I'm a reserve patrol sergeant with the Grant County Sheriff's Office, so that's very rewarding, a lot of fun, and it was actually the genesis of an idea. I went to the board of the credit union. They're very gracious, very community-minded, and we actually give every employee that we have 8 hours of paid volunteer time a month to go out and participate in the organizations they have, or rake a little old lady's yard, or get them wood or whatever. So that's the equivalent of almost 3 full-time volunteer positions a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that would make a difference.
Yeah, that's the idea. We hope so.
Well, cool. Well, Ken, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate getting to know you,
yes,
and I like hearing your passion.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So.
And thanks a lot.
You bet, sir.
All righty.
All right.
And thank you for tuning in, La Grande and Eastern Oregon and beyond, and we'll see you next time.